change this from X264 to NVENC H.264. Now effectively what you're doing by changing this setting is instead of your CPU doing all the work, your graphics card does instead. Now if you have a great CPU with a lot of threads, this won't fix your issue, and you have some kind of software or hardware issue. Leave a comment on the video and I'll try to help you the best I can. This also won't work if you have an AMD graphics card, but again, leave a comment and I'll help you as much as I can. Make sure to check Enforce Streaming Service encoder settings. Make sure it's on CBR, and really and also make sure your setup can handle the resolution and frame rate you're running at. OBS is really intensive on your system. Okay, that's all I really wanted to tell you guys. But if this helped, you can help me out a little bit by dropping a like or comment on this video. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Fuck you, Chrysler.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is PeteBreaker, and in today's video I'm gonna show you how to set up OBS Studio in order to get the best possible streaming quality on Twitch. Now, if you're only interested in one of the topics that I'm covering in this current video, then I have left the timestamps to each of these topics. So if you want to do any downscaling, obviously you can just set this to 1080 here. Then you should do it here. And I would actually recommend you to do a bit of downscaling. Don't do 720p actually if you have somewhat decent upload. I would always go with this one here, the 1440x810. Use the best possible downscaling filter because that just gives you the better looking quality on Twitch. And 60 FPS, which is basically 59.94. Now, before going into any of the other settings, we have to find out what our upload speed is. And the best method to do so is to use the Twitch bandwidth test tool. So you can find this under this link that I'm linking in the description box below. Download this tool, execute this tool, and if you have any problems with running the Twitch bandwidth tester, just run this one here and it just fixes any problems that you might have with it. Click on Get Key, which will redirect you on Twitch to where you can actually find your stream key. Click on Show Key, click on I understand, and copy the key. Paste it in here. Use the automatic OBS window size and use a short test duration. You can go with 30 seconds if you want to, or even longer tests, but I found that the difference in actually going with a long test is negligible and you don't really gain anything from this. But what you should do is actually choosing the right region. So I'm based in Europe, so I'm gonna deselect this one here because otherwise the test is gonna take forever. I'm gonna click on Start. And what this basically does is it tests the connection to each of the Twitch servers. So it tests your maximum possible connection to the server, it tests your ping, and finally it will give you an estimate of the quality that you can expect from using this server. Now, interestingly enough, representing the matchmaking experience, choosing a Polish server gives you a 0 quality. No, of course, I'm just kidding. You should obviously go with a low ping and a high quality, so you're gonna choose Frankfurt, Germany. Go back to OBS Studio, use Twitch, then look for the respective server that you have just figured out was probably the best. For me, this is Frankfurt, Germany. Paste your stream key and hit apply. Now let's talk about the output settings, and this is probably what most of you guys are really interested in this video. So what you want to do is you want to choose the advanced output mode because we really want to get into the nitty-gritty of the details in this section here. You want to work in the streaming tab, use the first audio track, and if you followed my previous tutorial on how to set up your audio, you know that we have set all of the audio to go into the first audio track. If you haven't seen this video, I'm linking it in the top right corner right now. Now let's talk about the encoder mode. And basically, if you have an NVIDIA GPU, you have two options here. The first is X264, which basically means that all of the encoding is done on the CPU. And the other one is NVENC, which means that all of the encoding is done on the GPU. Now ideally you want to have the least amount of lag on your system while you're gaming and streaming at the same time. And This is usually always the case if you're using the GPU for encoding, because your CPU is usually already very heavily used up by the current game that you're playing. But unfortunately you have to think about your upload speed as well, because the NVENC codec does not really do such a good job at encoding high quality footage. So this really depends on the upload speed that you have found out using the Twitch bandwidth tester. If, for instance, you only have something like 5000 kilobits per second here, then you're gonna have to go down with the bitrate a lot. And I've actually tried this out with various different limitations on the upload speed, and what I found was that a good rule of thumb really is to choose half of the bitrate of the upload speed that you have. So if it says 6000 for example, you should choose 3000 as a bitrate. Obviously you have to keep in mind, guys, that next to live streaming the video, you also have to stream the audio, you also have to communicate the game somehow, and you also have other things on your computer that use the internet connection. So you should really make sure not to use too much of a bitrate here, because if you choose a too high bitrate, what can happen is, first of all, you're gonna have a yellow or red indicator in OBS Studio, which basically means your upload cannot keep up with the actual bandwidth that you have, or you actually lose frames. And if you actually lose or drop frames, then this really results in a bad experience for the viewers. So let's just assume you have a rather good upload speed. So we're gonna go with the NVENC standard. We will talk about the X264 in just a second, don't worry. Don't use rescale output. Always use a constant bitrate, guys. You always want to have that. It just gives you the much better quality on Twitch. If you do actually have the highest possible upload, so let's say more than 12 megabits per second, you can use 6000 here. Twitch has actually upgraded and create a new profile. So let's jump right into the settings. The first thing you want to change is in the video tab, you have base and output resolution. Now, base resolution